Hey hikers and campers, this is Bob. I've been in the market for a lightweight camping tent. And when I mean lightweight, probably something under 3 pounds. And I kind of homed in on a company called Big Agnes out of Steamboat Springs, Colorado. I'm a local native, so I love to buy local products, etc. And the talent out here is just incredible for being innovative on basically all fronts, whether or not it's tents, shoes, it almost doesn't matter out here. But anyways, I wanted a two-man tent, lightweight, under 3 pounds. And basically I homed in on three products from Big Agnes. And that's the Big Agnes Fly Creek HVUL2, the Big Agnes Tiger Wall UL2, and the Big Agnes Copper Spur HVUL2. From left to right, basically the Big Agnes Fly Creek comes in at about $350. It's a two-person, 1 pound, 15-ounce tent, basically with a floor space of 86 by 52 or 28 square feet. Moving on to the Tiger Wall, real quickly, the Tiger Wall comes in at about $400. Comes in at 2 pounds 3 ounces, so basically only 4 ounces more. And it's the same floor space for all intents and purposes, a little bit more headroom, and I'll go through that in a second. And then the last one is the Big Agnes Copper Spur, which comes in at $450 and is 2 pounds 12 ounces, one of the heaviest of the three, obviously. But for the most part, you only get 1 square foot more of space compared to the Fly Creek and the Tiger Wall. A little bit more headroom, but I'll go through that in a second. So anyways, I wanted to just, first off, all Big Agnes tents are second to none. I love the fact that, number one, all the poles, even the poles, are color coded. So this one's gray with a gray tab, and then you go to the other side and it's basically copper with a copper tab. So all their tents are pretty idiot proof. The other thing I like about all the Big Agnes tents is all the straps are connected to the tent. So no need to lose straps, pull things out of bags, trying to figure out which one goes where. They are all attached to both the tent and the rain cover. The other thing on all three tents, other than some size differences, and I'll go through that in a second, is the fact that there is a pretty high, and I'll call it almost 6 inches, lift on the side of the tent, obviously for rain. And they have a pretty ingenious way to do that by a 2-strap system that basically pivots the top of the part of the high part to just a single stake. So don't have to put in 2 stakes to kind of make that objective kind of thing. So the other thing is, all of them are pretty breathable when you don't have the fly sheet. So for those out there who love to camp under the stars, pretty amazing. You will have no problem seeing stars, etc., like that. And if at night, the ventilation is probably second to none. I don't think I'd sweat in any one of these at night with the fly sheet off, type of thing. The other thing to notice is on the Fly Creek, it is a single pole system that pivots from the middle, goes out with some pretty ingenious little tabs, and all their tents are the same way. Basically clip them on the pole, and that's about it. For the most part, all three tents took me less than 5 minutes to set up, each one at a time. But moving into the tent real quick, I didn't put the fly sheet on this one just so you can kind of see. Again, this is one of the lightest of the two-man. They do make a one-person tent, but personally, I don't think the weight difference is that much different. Maybe 6 ounces, maybe 8 for a one person, and personally I like a little bit more space. So if I was even a single just looking for a one-person tent, I would kind of lean toward the Fly Creek. I am 6 foot. I'll get into this thing here a little bit. And like I said, this is supposed to be a 2-person tent. So if I was just on one side, I'm a 6 foot person, I pretty well hit the, close to the end of the tent. But like I said, totally air ventilated from top to bottom here, as well as see-through from top to bottom. But if this was 2 persons, the only thing I don't like about it is obviously it's front, I'll call it loading, I guess. And it's pretty tight. So, you have all your camping gear, everything else with you. This could be a pretty tight little tent, even though the weight is only 1 pound 15 ounces. Type of thing. So, from there, if I turn around here, headspace is really pretty good. I can turn around here and I almost touch the side of the tent, but to me, this is kind of more like a 1-person tent. I would kind of find it kind of hard to live in this thing as with 2 people for, I guess, a long period of time. There's actually funny is like there's a little light strip that goes into this thing to light this up a little bit if you want to do that. But overall, super lightweight design. Like I said, all the straps are connected to the tent right here. Again, everything's color coded. Even the rain sheet is color coded, so you can't make a mistake there as well. But and the only other thing I don't like about it is there's no tie off. Actually, there is. I just noticed it here. Sorry. There is a nice little tie off right here to tie off the fly of the tent. The other thing I noticed, there's actually a little pocket on either side. But again, if I was looking for a 2-person tent and both people are, I'll say loosely, 6 foot or so, I would say that's pretty tight. If it was kind of me and a 4-legged companion, I think I'd be right on. But a little tight for 2 people, even though, the weight is under 2 pounds. I'm going to move over now to actually the copper spur, and there's a reason why I'll do this here in a second, so I'm not exactly going in order. But the copper spur is the biggest of the 3. Almost comes in at 2 pounds 12 ounces. By the time said and done, you can almost say 3 pounds. It is, the floor space is more rectangular, obviously, than the Fly Creek. And it's nice and big. The other thing that's really nice about both the Tiger Wall and the copper spur is the entry points are from both sides, versus a front entry tent. So basically I can enter from this side, the other side is exactly the same. This one has the rain cover on it, very nice. One thing that's kind of nice that they did with this, they put a little vent on the rain cover. Not that you'll get that much ventilation if you're all closed up. The other thing on both these tents, actually all 3, is they do come with an extra set of tie outs for high winds, and you would basically direct this tent toward the wind side of whatever which way the wind's blowing, so to speak. Again, the tie offs, the connections, if you notice, this is the fly sheet, this one's gray. If you go to the other side, it's orange. So pretty idiot proof in terms of a setup. Let me see what else. The other thing which you can't see on this one, it is a 2-pole system, meaning that the frame itself is a little basic X that goes across a pivot point for all 3, or actually all 4 poles, and then the crossbar, which is right here, goes across the middle of the tent, across the other 2 bars on one side of the tent. The other thing that's really nice about the crossbar, and this is the same on the Tiger Wall, is the tab. There's a little tab to connect to that crossbar, which really pivots nice versus a lot that have a little, you know, piece of fabric that kind of pulls over and can sometimes be really tight. That's been my experience in the past. But let me go inside the tent. If you notice, this is what the tie-offs look like. This is the same tie-offs as on the other two tents. But this is the biggest and the heaviest. So I'm getting in here. Again, I'm 6 foot. Really nice to be able to pull this off. With both sheets, so one, you know, if you're with somebody else, nobody's climbing over anybody, etc., to go out at night or get into the tent or get anything from the tent. I am basically near the head of the tent right now, and I probably have about another inch of foot space down here. So if you're 6'1", 2 people 6'1" or under, you know, this is a pretty good size tent, especially for the weight of 2 pounds 12 ounces. Looking toward the front of the tent, nice little place to store stuff at the top, as well as nice little side pockets for each person as well. But, you know, like I said, awesome design. With this cover off, basically 360-degree view of wherever you're at without the fly sheet. Nice mesh material. The other thing I will say, and I'm just going to do this with one hand, their zippers are really nice. I'm pulling on these zippers. A lot of times these become really tight in some other manufacturers I've had, and you know, you have to have 2 hands. You got to pull down on one, but you know, I'm pulling down, and you know, this is pretty simple on both sides. So again, pop out of this one, and like I said, that's the biggest of the 3 that I am looking at. Now, the reason why I kind of skipped from the first one and kind of skipped the Tiger Wall was the Tiger Wall is their latest tent design, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but what I see in the Tiger Wall is kind of the best of both worlds. I see the little best of where they took the design of the Fly Creek, combined that with the copper spur, and made this kind of in-between tent, which is nice because first off, the weight is only 4 ounces more than the Fly Creek, and almost 8 ounces, you know, almost 10 really, less than the copper spur. Yet the floor space is about the same. Everything that you see on that corners that I told you about on the Fly Creek is built in to the Tiger Wall. Same kind of pivot design. If you notice, I only need 1 stake post to hold the rain cover. They have the same scenario where I have an extra tie down for high winds, and everything is color coded as in their other tents. If you notice, this side's gold, the other side was gray. The only thing, and I'll get into the tent in a second, the last thing is, it is a single pole design. What they did is took the T-bar and integrated it to the main frame by a little plastic O-ring, I guess. And so basically, you basically won't have a chance of losing a pole on this thing. It goes across. Here's your basically your triangular connection from one end to the other. It goes all the way across to the front, and then the T-bar connects to the same type of pivot that was on the copper spur and Fly Creek. So let me get into this guy and get on the head side here. And so again, for 4 ounces more than the Fly Creek, I basically get the space of the copper spur, and I'm going to lay down here. I'm basically right at the head, and I actually have, you know, another inch. Like I said, if I looked at 2 people in this, I would see it totally comfortable. Again, zipper fly on both sides, so easy for 2 people to get in and out. If I look toward the front of the tent, there's a little pocket on the left side, pocket on the top, and pocket on the left. So out of those 3 that I've been looking at, and again, the other thing that's kind of nice is when you take the fly sheet off, again, 360 degrees of both airspace and I'll call it sky space. You like to camp under the stars, you know, this is awesome. The other thing that's kind of nice, they got a couple of tabs here for lights that you can hang. Kind of funny, they actually carry a kind of a light strip that can go around your tent if you want to light up the whole inside of your tent. And that's about it. So I'm quite honestly, after looking at all 3 tents and kind of looking at weight and everything like that, I'm actually leaning, and I'll say loosely, I'm probably going to look at the new Tiger Wall. Not to say another 10 ounces, I'll say loosely, isn't a big thing, but you know, you start doing 15, 20 miles. If you're with 2 people by yourself, or I'm sorry, if you're with 2 people, you know, I could probably weigh toward the copper spur, especially if you're bringing a, you know, like a 4-legged companion with you on top of that. I would definitely go with the copper spur. If it was, you know, you're gonna kind of do some stuff solo plus with somebody else, personally, I would kind of lean toward the new Tiger Wall. Let me think of anything else. One thing on all their tents, the zippers are awesome. If you notice, the material, because it's lightweight, you can notice I can almost see through the material. So one thing you do want to get, which Big Agnes also sells, is a ultra light backpacking footprint. This thing weighs maybe 5 ounces, you know, and is super heavy, almost like the Tyrex that they use on the outside of houses. This one sells, they got them on sale. I bought all my tents at REI, basically because of their simple return policies, etc. So kind of long video, but hopefully you enjoyed it. I kind of had to go through the process, and I figured, hey, you know, I'm buying a tent, might as well try all 3 and pass on kind of my findings here. So again, this was the Fly Creek, Tiger Wall, and Copper Spur. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and have some fun out there camping, and hopefully you enjoyed this. All right, thanks.